and U.S. Border Patrol work together, and we continue to apprehend dozens, if not hundreds, of these criminal illegal aliens a day. We're going to continue conducting that mission. We're not going to put a date or a timeline to stop this mission. This mission's ongoing until there are no more of those criminal illegal aliens roaming the streets of Minneapolis. Now, folks, we've seen the excellent work that Mr. Marcos Charles has detailed here. This excellent work on these screens here. Marcos, you and your team are out there every day, Border Patrol, ICE, and those allied teams, and they're taking these folks off the streets. These folks were walking the streets less than 24 hours ago. Marcos and his team and Border Patrol are taking them off the streets by the dozens and sometimes hundreds every single day. So that's some fantastic work. We want to continue to accomplish that work. But what I would like to touch upon this morning is how much better this work could be. How much better can we do what we do? And how much better for who? For you, which you being Ma and Pa America and the taxpayer, how much better this work can be for the taxpayer. Now, better to the citizens here of Minneapolis as well. Minneapolis 2020 riots, this most current influx of anarchists and folks that want to disparage and occlude this Title VIII law enforcement mission. So we can do this much better for the citizens of Minneapolis. And what this revolves around is the climate. The current climate surrounding law enforcement and this Title VIII mission in which ICE, Border Patrol, and these allied teams are fighting so hard to accomplish. Now, this climate that we talk about is not very favorable right now in Minneapolis. But that as our first point, it's not very favorable to federal law enforcement here in Minneapolis. Let's take a look at what happened yesterday. Some of you may know that Border Patrol and ICE were out conducting our Title VIII mission, and several of our teams were set upon by violent protesters, anarchists, rioters, individuals, and extremists that were intent on ensuring that we did not take these very people that Marcos talked about off the streets. Intent that we would not arrest these individuals, these illegal aliens that prey upon Ma and Pa America every single day. So yesterday I had the fortunate opportunity to once again work with those fine agents in ICE and Border Patrol. And in doing so, from the very beginning of the shift all the way through the end of the shift, all day long, it was a running battle with those very extremists that I've talked about. So as we were looking to conduct that targeted enforcement against some very vile criminals, we were met with resistance. One of those criminals that we were after was Victor Urice. Mr. Victor Urice, a target that we were after yesterday. This individual is a convicted felon from Mexico with serious weapons offenses, fleeing from police, and a criminal rap sheet so long that I can't remember it all. That's who we were after yesterday. Now, as we were after Mr. Urice, we were set upon rioters who tried to stop us at every point yesterday. Simply using the restroom at a gas station was met with significant resistance. A lot of people would call that stalking. I don't think any of us would like to be stalked, but being stalked for 8 or 10 hours at a time is not a very favorable climate. Hey folks, where were the cops yesterday? Where was Minneapolis Police Department during that 8-hour stalking event? Anybody care to venture a guess? I'd like to venture a guess, and it's I don't know. So it's that climate we're talking about. Violent mobs, rioters, who became violent towards the end of the day. Our very last stop at a gas station was met with violence. Individuals that perpetrated violence against our Border Patrol agents, forcing us to take action, not against Victor Urice, the individual that we were after, but to take action against those violent anarchists who didn't want us to catch Victor Urice, if you can believe that. Absolutely unbelievable. Hey, where were the cops during that 8 hours of stalking and violence? Where was Mayor Fry? Where was, I don't know, Governor Walz? I didn't see him around anywhere. You know, there's a saying, I think Thomas Paine said that in one of his pamphlets, Common Sense. He said politics and politicians on their very best day are barely tolerable evil. Is this Mayor Fry's very best day yesterday? Oh, I don't think so. Absolutely not. So put yourselves as the media and the press there. Would you like to be stalked all day long with folks that want to hurt you all day long? Think about that. Also, I'd implore upon you to report that. We were forced to utilize less lethal devices again yesterday to keep the public safe, keep the Border Patrol agents safe, and so that we could continue to conduct that Title VIII mission. That's our job here. We're not going to be deterred in conducting the Title VIII mission, no matter what that climate is, no matter that violent rhetoric by Mayor Fry, Walz, and others, individuals that come into churches, as Mr. Charles said. We're not going to be deterred from that. So CS gas, pepper balls, a whole litany of less lethal devices were used to ensure that our agents, those agitators and rioters, and the public were safe, and that we continue to conduct that mission. Citizens were failed twice yesterday. They were failed twice yesterday. First, as I said, the response from Minneapolis Police Department and other local agencies. Missing in action. That's what you call missing in action. When fellow law enforcement officers are in need, missing in action. Unconscionable. And then, the second part of that is these criminal illegal aliens that were let back out on the streets. Let's go back again to Mr. Victor Urice. He was on probation, by the way. Our target was on probation. He was let back go on the streets of Minneapolis so that we had to go into the community. Never should have happened. We had to go into the community to remove him. Why not, Mayor Fry, Governor Walz, turn this individual over to us so we're not in the streets, so that anarchists are not allowed to ply their trade of anarchy against law enforcement? Now, this didn't happen overnight. This anarchist type movement has been well established here in Minneapolis since 2020. We all know what happened in 2020. The anarchists love this, by the way. They love this. This is just what they want. This is just what Mayor Fry, Governor Walz, and others are giving them. This emboldened rhetoric vilifies law enforcement and creates very unsafe situations for law enforcement and occludes from the mission of taking these bad people, as Mr. Marcos Charles said, off the streets. Compliance, they think, is optional. Compliance is not optional, not when law enforcement conducts its legal, lawful, ethical, and moral duties. It's not optional. There is no option here. Let's get this straight. Do the anarchists want Victor Urice to remain on the streets? I think that's the base question. Does Mayor Fry and Governor Walz, I've never heard them say a word about these violent, illegal aliens that roam their streets. I guess they want them there. But guess what? ICE, the U.S. Border Patrol, and those allied law enforcement agencies, President Trump, Secretary Noem, we don't want it and we won't have it. Law enforcement unquestionably is being targeted right now in Minneapolis. I'll close by saying that we're being targeted now in the Title VIII mission. What does this spread to in the future? That rule of law and order, what else will that spread to? Maybe some speeding tickets, or maybe another law or situation that someone doesn't agree with. It'll spread to that as well. We're not going to allow that to happen here in Minneapolis or anywhere else. We're here to stay the course. We will stay the course. U.S. Border Patrol, ICE, and all allied law enforcement agencies, we're here and we are going to accomplish the mission. I'm glad to be here. Our agents are ecstatic to be here. ICE agents are glad to be here, removing that off the streets. It will continue. Thank you.
Do you think that your presence on these operations is helping or hindering in the moment?
Sure, I think anytime law enforcement is conducting that Title 8 mission, it certainly helps. As far as tactically helping yesterday, actually I do, and I'll explain that. Is that violent mob decided, perhaps because I was a bit more visible, to follow us. 16 other strike teams out in the field yesterday arresting dozens of those criminal illegal aliens were relatively free from that. So I believe if they want to focus their attention on me, that's better than focusing attention on those Border Patrol agents and ICE officers doing that lawful mission across Minneapolis.
Did you and your teams call Minneapolis Police yesterday?
Yes, at some point, yes.
All right, last question right here.
Eric Shalou from KSTV, thank you for taking our questions. People in Minnesota want to know when this surge will end. Has there been a date set? Is there a certain number of people you want to apprehend before you decide to ease the surge? We've seen DOJ filings that have put a number at over 60,000 people. Explain to folks how long you're going to be here and why.
As Marcos's team and U.S. Border Patrol work together, and we continue to apprehend dozens, if not hundreds, of these criminal illegal aliens a day, we're going to continue conducting that mission. We're not going to put a date or a timeline to stop this mission. This mission's ongoing until there are no more of those criminal illegal aliens roaming the streets of Minneapolis.
Is there a number, though? You have to have a file.
There is a number, and it's called all of them. Yep, you bet. All of them. We're not going to allow criminal illegal aliens to walk the streets and have more Molly Tibbetts, Jacqueline Noongareys, and all the other ones. I mean, you're worried about numbers. I'm worried about the deaths of Americans. Let's talk about that a little bit. Maybe Jacqueline Noongaray, what her last moments were like. How come we never talk about that? And you're worried about numbers.
Mr.
Sure, wait, no, hold on. Numbers? Jacqueline Noongaray. Numbers, but your numbers, Jacqueline Noongaray, well, actually, we never hear about her or the other thousands of American citizens. I'm worried about that vastly more than a number or a date. We're going to make Mom and Pa America safe. President Trump is, Secretary Noem is, and we're going to get them all. Did that answer your question? Sir?
Really quick.
Thank you.
Okay, Chief Bovino, really fast. Can you comment on the Vice President coming?
I'm very glad to have the Vice President here, Mr. Vance. Mr. Vance is a supporter of the Title 8 mission. He knows what's at stake here. He knows what's at stake in Minnesota and nationwide. And one of our most ardent supporters of that Title 8 mission, one of our most ardent supporters of taking criminal illegal aliens off the streets, J.D. Vance from Ma and Pa America. Just like President Trump, Secretary Noem, he's for Ma and Pa America. And I can't think of a better individual to come down and talk to those Border Patrol agents and ICE officers. Marcos and I were talking here just before this press conference. One of the things that J.D. Vance does is he wants to hear from the rank and file Border Patrol agents and ICE officers. That's something very unique to him. He wants to come down and talk to them individually, see what's on their mind, their issues, concerns, and what's going on the ground. You don't see that a lot, but you sure see it with the Vice President. Vice President Vance, we can't wait to see him. We're glad to have him.